Greg Kading caught lying. Again.
In April of 1998, 5 months after David Mack's bank robbery, Detective Russell Poole flew to New York to interview associates of Bad Boy Records regarding the murder of Biggie. Poole brought with him a 6-pack photo lineup of individuals who had recently been indicted for different crimes. One of the men in that photo lineup was Mack. When Detective Poole interviewed Damien Butler, Butler positively identified Mack as a person who was present at the Peterson Museum the night of Big's murder.
You had a witness in Biggie's entourage who identified David Mack as being at the Peterson Museum.
And then it grew from there. Then I think one of the witnesses in Biggie's entourage claims that he saw David Mack. He picks him out of a lineup, I think, about a year later.
Around this time is when Poole had begun becoming suspicious of Mack. It wasn't simply the fact that Mack had a black Impala, Gecko ammunition, or that the only visitor Mack had in prison bore a striking resemblance to the composite sketch of Biggie's killer. But it was also the fact that Mack had taken 2 series of sick days. One set before he committed the bank robbery, and another just right before Biggie was murdered. Those were the only times that Mack had ever taken sick days during his time as an LAPD officer.
Now, mind you, this is an LAPD cop. This is not a civilian. This is an LAPD cop that we're talking about, a search warrant, and this is what is in his house. A search warrant on Mack's house found 5 9mm handguns and numerous rounds of ammunition, some being Gecko 9mm, the same round that killed Biggie, and rarely found in the U.S. No ballistics to compare what killed Biggie and what was found in Mack's garage has been performed. Took family illness days before and after the bank robbery, meaning the day before the bank robbery, he took a family illness day, and the day after, he took a family illness day. And he also did this before and after the Biggie shooting. And David Mack in his career never did this at any other time.
Correct.
That just
those are the only 2 in a 9-year career that David Mack had. I believe he was an LAPD officer for about 9 years or something like that. Only twice did he take family illness days.
Recently, everyone's least favorite former LAPD detective, Greg Kading, engaged in an online debate in a YouTube comment section. He did his best to plant seeds of doubt about the legitimacy of D-Rock fingering Mack as present at the scene of Biggie's murder. And as usual, he completely mangled the truth. Therefore, we have decided to release the LAPD notes from that interview in their entirety, and also break down each of Kading's accusations regarding the information provided by Butler. Kading stated in a YouTube comment the following: D-Rock didn't know Mack and didn't identify him until his face was plastered all over the papers. This is false. Mack had already been arrested for the bank robbery, but at the time in April 1998, unless you lived in LA and followed their local news closely, Mack hadn't been publicly named a suspect in the Biggie murder yet. This was before there was even a Rampart scandal, and 18 months before December 1999, LA Times article named Mack as a potential suspect in the Biggie murder, based in part on the identification of Damien Butler. Even D-Rock's own lawyer didn't believe him, Kading stated. This is also false and misleading. Bob Kalina was an attorney for Bad Boy Records and was present during the re-interviews of Butler, Gregory Young, and Lil Cease. As we are all very well aware, Puffy Combs had made it crystal clear to all Bad Boy employees that they'd be fired if they cooperated with the police. According to Russ Poole's testimony under oath, Young and Cease would barely even glance at the photos. They followed Puffy's orders. Damien Butler did not. When he ID'd Mack, the attorney first showed surprise, and then tried to get Butler to back off his statements. It had nothing to do with Kalina not believing D-Rock, and everything to do with keeping Butler in line, like the other 2. Rock never said it was David Mack. He said it was a guy that looked like Mack. He also identified another guy who police knew wasn't at the Peterson. This is misleading and needs further clarification. Of course, Butler didn't say, "That's David Mack." He had no idea who the hell Mack was. He did say, "I'm sure this guy was standing outside the door to the museum." Then, after the attorney got nervous and asked, "Are you sure?" Butler responded, "Yes." Kalina continued trying to muddy up the identification, finally getting Butler to change his statement to, "It appears to be him." Butler did state that someone else in the six-pack looks familiar and may have been there too. But I'm sure number 3, Mack, was there. Another very important fact regarding this topic that must be addressed is that Butler confirmed his identification of Mack in 2005 during the Wallace v. Los Angeles civil trial. We did some digging on the Pacer Court Records website and found out Butler was actually incarcerated during this time period. It was in prison where a videotaped deposition was conducted on his behalf to help out with the Wallace lawsuit. While no one outside of the people who are actually involved in the case has seen the tape deposition, Butler seemingly confirmed his identification of David Mack at the Peterson the night Big was killed. In fact, David Mack went as far as to try and exclude Butler's identification of him, along with Eugene Deal's identification of Amir Muhammad, from the case. With all that being said, it begs the question, why is Greg Kading so hell-bent on misrepresenting the facts in this case? If he feels like he has such a strong case with his Poochie theory, why does he spend time bickering with people on YouTube? It would behoove a lot of so-called journalists and media outlets to do a background check on people like Kading, along with the lies and half-truths that he constantly spews.